Hi folks, Stein North here. I'm out here at camp. I got to get 3 client shelters set up, and that's what I'm doing today. And I'm going to do little short clips as I get them put up and kind of show you around this one area of pods that we're putting up for clients. This is a group of 3 here. There's a little pond behind me here. This is a nice site for 3 campers to be in, and I'll show it to you once they're all done. But we'll move along, and I'll talk to you a little more about what I'm doing here after I fade out of this. I'll come into what I'm doing, and I'm trying to get this all done this afternoon. I just got some things I have to get done out here at camp quick, because tomorrow I've got a special guest coming, and I want to make sure that all my work is caught up. Excuse me, because I don't want to take any time away from that special guest. That special guest is Kenton, and Kenton and his wife and kids are coming to visit me. I'm terribly privileged that they are. And if you're not aware, Kenton is with Rewild University. He's got a great school going on and a great YouTube channel. Check him out if you haven't. I did a shout out for him, but again, check him out. Rewild University. You can't beat that channel. You can't beat the things this man does. He is very talented. But I got to get back to my chores and get this done, so that tomorrow I'm free to visit. So I'll get right back to you. Well, hello folks. Stein North here. Here we are out at camp. Today, got my work cut out for me. I need to get 3 client shelters put up. 3 of them. These pods go up rather quickly, probably total beginning to end time 20 minutes at the most, for me to set them up. I have a mat that we use, that we put this matting down, then we put the pod on top of the mat, so it adds a little extra time to it. But I'm going to get these 3 pods up today, and I thought, well, I'll do a little video, and as I get each pod up, I'll stop and do a little short clip, show you that pod's up and what the campsite looks like, and then I'll move on to the next one, and I'll show you that one before the pod goes up, and then after the pod goes up, I'll show you another one with the finished pod. And after I've done all 3, I'll do a shot of this whole client area, where we'll have 3 shelters in a cluster in this area. So stick with me. I'm going to get to work on this pod. Well, folks, here it is, pod number 1. That's 1 of 3 that I got to go, and I only have 2 to go. So 1 up and 2 to go. But again, I did a video a long time ago about putting a client shelter up and showing what our clients use. But for those of you that haven't seen that video, we use these pods. They're designed to be attached to an outfitter's tent, or they can be used as standalone shelters. And we love these things. They're well vented. They're waterproof. They're roomy, lots of room. Our clients just love them. There's lots of space in here for your gear and for you to sleep. But yeah, that's our pods. So now I got to move to the next site and get another one up. And I'll jump on the camera and move it, and then I'll show you what that site looks like. Well, folks, here we are. This is the next site. It's a lot like that first site that I put the pod in, about the same dimensions. Each one of these sites got a couple of logs on the ends. You'll see when I do the whole area after I'm done they got a couple logs at the ends for sitting on, just for relaxing. And the fire pits go in between those two logs, so that there'll be a fire pit at each site in between those two logs. So you can have company over and you can sit and chat around your own little fire pit. But this is the next site, and I got to get going. I got to get these things done. I'll come right back once this thing's standing. Well, there we are, folks. Pod number 2. This one's all up and ready to go. Now, I kind of like this site. It's a good site, this spot. We had shelter in this one last year, in fact. Now, one thing that I'm not getting done today, but I'll be coming back and doing sometime between now and this weekend, is I come back and I put a small tarp over the top of each of these pods. And that just gives some added protection against the sun and against the rain, the weather. The sun eats tents up. You know, I think you all are aware of that they'll dry rot from too much sunlight. So if you can protect them with a tarp, they last a lot longer. And then also we like to have that extra tarp on there in case we have inclement weather and it just gets real rainy. Then the clients feel a little more secure, and they don't have to worry about any kind of dampness or rain leaking through into their shelters at all. So, but that's not happening today. I'm just getting the 3 shelters up, and then I got so many other chores to do. So, okay, I'm going to move on to shelter number 3. I'm going to get that one up, show you that one, and then I'm going to do a pan of the site that these shelters are sitting in. So, stick with me. There we go, folks. Pod number 3. 3 pods. About 2 hours. Maybe 2.5 hours. I did take a break. But there it is. So now I've got 3 pods set up in this camp area. And that's the way we set things up out here, is we have clusters with 3 pods per camp area. So depending on the number of clients we're going to have, we'll open up different camp areas, and we'll put 3 pods per area. If in the event we had, say, 4 clients, we would most likely set up a 4th pod just adjacent here so that they stay in a cluster. But if we have 5, we would put 3 in a cluster and then 2 in another cluster. Try to keep it to like 3 to a cluster. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas that we set shelters up in. And one of those areas that's our primitive shelter area, where we're building primitive shelters that clients can stay in. But I'm going to pick up the camera, and I'm going to just kind of show you how this cluster of shelters looks. And this is what the clients see when they come into one of our clusters. As you come in, there's, of course, this pod right here on the left, and we'll establish its fire pit right out front. And then you come down the trail a little bit here, and then there's a pod off to the right. And again, we'll establish their fire pit right out front. And then again, at the kind of the end of this little area, the trail, is the 3rd pod. And of course, just like the others, we'll establish a fire pit right in the front. Seating logs like that outside of each shelter, so they can sit and enjoy their fire pit while they're fixing their meals or just enjoying a nice fire in the evening. But let's say you're a client staying in this particular shelter and you're sitting here at your fire and you're looking back. That's what it would look like. There's 2 more shelters in your cluster, and right there is my base camp tent in the background. You can see it there. And actually over here is heartroot. So this cluster is kind of close in to the base camp. And we have a cluster off in the distance over there. And we have this little pond here, and there's a cluster on the opposite side of this pond. Then, well, it's getting so thick in here you can't see anymore, but there's base camp, and then down a trail and off on the other side of another pond is another cluster. Oh, and then there's another cluster just that side of heartroot and base camp. We have sites down in here next to this pond. There's a pond down in here. We have 3 sites there that are real accessible to my tent and to the restrooms, which are off that way. But actually it's a restroom. Unless we get 10 or more clients, we only have 1 satellite. And then on the other side of this pond is where the primitive camps are. So that's it. That's what I did today. Is I worked in this cluster and got these client shelters up today. Tomorrow I'm busy all day, and the next day I'll be out full time again at base camp, and I'll be coming back here to get these fire pits done. And I got to get these ready. I want to have them all done before the weekend is gone by. So, okay, I'm going to set this camera back down. So hey folks, I'm glad you tagged along. I'm glad you got a look at how we set up a cluster for our clients. I would love to see you folks come on out for camp. Love to spend some time with you all. Guarantee you come out here, it's pretty comfortable. You're not staying at the Taj Mahal. Don't get me wrong. This is semi-primitive camping, and you do stay in these shelters, and we do not have hot running water. And like I said, we use a satellite type toilet. But come on out, learn some bushcrafting, spend some time out here in the outdoors. We've got, I was going to say hundreds of acres of land that's accessible to us, but actually it's thousands of acres that we have that is publicly accessible to us. So come on out, explore, learn a few things. We'd love to have you. I've got to get back to work. I got a couple things to do before I head home, and you all have a nice day.